Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Delt Day of Giving. If you're just tuning in, we are currently in the Generations of Impact segment, where we're talking about how Delt programming, our educational and leadership programming, has impacted lives in the past and making influences in their current day lives, but also talking about where we are going with programming. But before we dive into that, just want to give a fundraising update. Uh, from what I hear, we have cracked over $34,000 raised so far today. We have, gained over 100 gifts, and we want to give a special shout out to Bob Morgan. Thank you so much, Bob, for all that you have done and all you're doing to support the fraternity and foundation. None of this would be possible without you, and so thank you again for your loyalty and support. We have surpassed the first 100 donor challenge. It's complete, and that unlocked $2,500. But we are now moving on. If we can hit 150 total donors, 150 total gifts, we're going to unlock another $2,500. So if you want to increase your impact, be sure to give now. You can head over to deltsgive.org or click the link in any of our social media platforms, captions, or in the emails that have been sent out to you. But diving back into the Generations of Impact segment, we're here to talk with Salam Awad. He is currently our Director of Experiential Education, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how we are going to be impacting men's lives, not only this year, but in the years to come. Salam, thank you so much for being here with us today, and I can't wait to talk more.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Thank you. I'm just so excited to chat about all of these different types of programs that we have offering for our members here.
For sure. And you have been absolutely hard at work. Compass has taken a little bit of a shift recently where we're offering, I would say, a menu of different opportunities to our undergraduates and to even some young alumni. For those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about what Compass is and the three main opportunities that our members are going to have?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you bringing up the menu of opportunities that it has. So the way that we kind of describe Compass, it's basically the overarching experiential education programs that we like to call the Compass experiences, right? I may use that interchangeably throughout our interview going back and forth, but I just wanted to say that out loud to begin with. But basically, like you said, Compass provides a menu of programming options that are focused on character development, values identification, leadership and skill development throughout the different phases of membership for our members within Delta Tau Delta. And so going through kind of those partnerships that we have, the first kind of phase of Compass, or the first program that we offer, is our leadership partnership. And so in that, think of emerging leaders, kind of that developmental experiences, working on your foundational type of leadership skill development. And that is what we usually tend to focus with. We tend to do that program in partnership with our PresX program. And so we'll do that in January and have a lot of fun while also learning about our membership's leadership experiences overall. The next kind of phase, or the next focus, would be our Outward Bound partnership. And so that is kind of the thing that we've been working on lately. I think you kind of alluded that in earlier, in the question that you brought up, but that is focused for our established leaders, right? When it comes with that, it kind of focuses on their skill development, building upon that foundation that they kind of already have. This is for those that want to really apply their skills through an intensive outdoor adventure and excursion. And then finally, we have our new program that we are currently developing and working on, which is our Give to Grow program. That program focuses on that professional development for upperclassmen and, like you said, some young alumni. Think about this as a career and business development, and hopefully allowing those members going from their undergraduate experience as they enter the alumni phase of their membership experience. And so that is one that I'm super excited about, especially considering this is one of the big things that a lot of undergraduate members have brought up is, hey, how do we leverage our undergraduate experience, our experience within the fraternity, in the professional realm? So super excited to see what these programs look like as we continue to develop them and as we continue to offer them for our membership.
And Sal, also want to just give a shout out real quick to Mo Bunnell. He's making one of those programs possible through Give to Grow. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that later this week and in the coming months even. But you brought up Outward Bound. That is one that I am just so excited about, and it's coming up pretty quickly. So, talk to us a little bit about that national partnership with Outward Bound and why it's become such an important part of Delt programming.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we do is we like to listen to our membership, right? I think that's the most like important aspect. That feedback that they provide us, what their wants, their needs, their what they believe is necessary for their growth and development. We hear them and we listen to that. And so a lot of them brought up, whether it be undergrads or alums, like that hands-on experience that they were looking for, especially when it comes to their leadership development and skill development, right? A lot of the times they get a lot of like leadership conversations in the classroom. Sometimes they have to go to meetings and those type of things. But one of the big things that they really asked for was the opportunity to actually be able to do stuff. And so I believe through like this experience and these conversations that the undergraduates had with Tony, with myself, with a few other people on staff, kind of led us to this opportunity to partner with Outward Bound. And so, like, think about it, right? Like, how awesome is it that you'll be able to go out there, grow as a leader while participating in these outdoor expeditions? I like the outdoors. I like them well enough. But, like the idea of being able to go out there and, you know, participate in backpacking, going through like Utah, spending time there, backpacking in North Carolina, or even like participating in whitewater rafting in Green River, Utah, or even sailing from like on the Maine coast. It's an experience and an opportunity with your brothers. And I think like with all of them sharing that information and sharing what they wanted to do and what they wanted to kind of see from like the developmental end, I think that is how we got to this point, which is pretty fantastic, honestly, because I think this program overall and this partnership, not many other organizations tend to offer it. And so us being a leading organization and innovator and, utilizing our partnerships that we kind of have to offer our members these types of programming and this type of like opportunity to develop and grow, I think it's one of the most fantastic things that I've like experienced and seen.
And, I think that innovation is truly what's going to make and is making Delt the premier fraternity experience for young men who are coming into college to look for, because they know that they're going to be able to come into Outward Bound and have that opportunity that is, it's made possible by our donors where they have very limited cost to them. And that really sets us up for great success in the recruitment of really fantastic men. Um, you know, so going in, I know you talked a little bit about the different expeditions that are going to be offered, whether it be backpacking in Utah or, rafting down the Green River in Colorado, sailing off the coast of Maine, you name it. Um, but let's dive a little bit deeper. What can those participants really expect to go through on these trips? What does that day-to-day life look like?
Yeah, each expedition is very, very different. I think that's the key thing that a lot of people have to like understand. I've had a lot of folks reach out and ask like, "Hey, what are we going to be doing?" And I'm like, "Well, a little bit of everything." I think a major component for all of this is just kind of skill development, right? You'll have a lot of chance to do and reflect on each day's expedition, on each day's like tasks and things that you'll be managing. Just looking through this and kind of like thinking through, like example, the Utah Canyon backpacking trip, participants are going to kind of navigate canyon country by foot, right? And so they'll kind of go through, they'll be able to experience and look at all the arches, navigate the canyons with a map and a compass. They'll be cooking meals on a rock slab with each other. And so it's one of those like you'll divvy up a lot of responsibilities. You'll learn different skills that you may already have and you may not have. And so I think it's one of the cool things about the Utah Canyon trip as well is you'll be sleeping out there under the night sky, right? Like with no light pollution, none of those things. You'll be able to see the Milky Way and just in all of its beauty and stupor with all of those things. And so like I think there's a lot that you're going to be able to gain from these experiences. When we think of something completely different than canyon backpacking, when we think of the Maine coast sailing, a lot of the guys will be staying on a 30-foot sailboat. That is their home for the week. That is where their classroom is going to be. They're going to learn how to navigate, read charts, basically learn a little bit about what seamanship looks like on a smaller boat and smaller vessel. They'll be navigating and looking at weather. and something as simple as like anchoring. A lot of these different kind of skills that you will learn and pick up for that specific kind of expedition, all while also having the responsibilities of like figuring out, hey, these are what we're going to do tomorrow. This is how we're going to kind of manage this. Um, I think one of the coolest pieces with all of these expeditions is a thing called the solo portion of your expedition. And so what will happen is you will be given a campsite, camp area where you will kind of be alone for a little bit. You'll be close to your instructor, like within a shouts or like range. So you're not going to be out there completely by your lonesome, but you'll have the opportunity to kind of set up your camp, set up your tent, set up your sleeping bag, your kind of arrangement of how things are. It'll give you a lot of opportunity to reflect and think about, hey, this is what my experience has been. And so it's a really, really cool opportunity. Like I cannot stress that enough. Probably one of the coolest ones that I've seen. And so there's a lot of different things that folks will be like learning. You won't be by yourself at all. You'll be with your brothers. You'll be with some alumni. And so it's honestly, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I personally want to go, right? And I think it'll be a really cool opportunity for a lot of our guys.
And I think one of the really neat, components of this is it's open to anybody, despite what their level of, outdoor experience is. We have guys who have applied for this that have, no outdoor experience to, they're the most accomplished Eagle Scouts. But either way, it's still going to be transformative. Later today, we're going to hear from Mike Slaughter, who actually attended the Expedition Academy and the Sailing Academy when we hosted those opportunities in the past. But, one thing that always struck me was the amount of applicants that would apply for those programs in the past. And we're seeing that same success today. So, with this big wave of applicants this year, what does that really tell you about the appetite for these types of programming that we have being offered?
Yeah, I honestly, with this being the first year of us doing this, we obviously have high hopes, right? Like we want everybody and their mom to apply. Well, not really their moms, but as many people as possible to apply because we want to offer this to as many folks as possible, right? But with its first year, we didn't know if it's going to be, 50 people or 350 people who apply. And so I think kind of just seeing like how many folks have turned in their applications and how many folks that have reached out and discussed this, whether they be undergraduate members or alumni, the want and need for this type of programming is there. And so, what I think of the Utah Canyon backpacking expedition, those slots are still open. We still have availability for that. Would love more people to apply for it. Same thing with the Green River rafting. We have a lot of different spots for people to want to do this. And so that is the hope that we continue to grow this program and grow this experience. I know a lot of our alumni have reached out and, discussed their experience with the Sailing Academy and the expedition schools that we used to have. And I honestly, whenever we told them like, hey, we're doing this outward bound partnership, we're basically doing what we've done in the past from your experience 10, 15, 20 years ago, a lot of them got super excited. Like you kind of said, that they want to do this. They want to see this continue. And we want to offer that to our members, right? Like, I think that is, again, the coolest opportunity that we can provide for folks is taking what we've had before, improving upon it, and then offering it to the guys like for this generation. And so with our people, with the amount of people that have applied so far, we're always looking for more applicants because, something could happen. Somebody may back out. And ultimately, if somebody gets put on the wait list, for example, for the main expedition or the Blue Ridge backpacking expedition, that doesn't mean they won't be selected. That just means if somebody does back out, they may be selected in general. And so the more people that apply, the better. And it also, in the long run, allows us to continue to develop this program. Right now, we've got 4 expeditions. If the want and need and the excitement for this program continues, next year we may have 5, we may have 6. It all really truly depends on what our membership is saying to us and the information that they're providing of this type of experience.
Well, it's fantastic to hear that we're not only responding to our students' wants and needs, but there is the opportunity to expand, some of these programs. Talk to us a little bit. What does this cost for our students?
Honestly, and this is one of the coolest things, right? Like I've been on staff for about 5 months, and one of the first things that I was told was like, "Hey, we have this Outward Bound partnership." I'm like, "I love that. That's great." And just we kept talking about it, kept talking it, and all of a sudden I was like, "Well, how much is this going to cost the guys, right?" Like, because that's I remember being a college student and not having that much expendable monies, and then all of a sudden Tony and some of the other folks on staff were like, "Oh, it's going to be free. It's going to be as minimum as possible in terms of a financial commitment from the undergraduate members." And the look on my face when I tell you my jaw dropped, I'm like, "That is awesome. That is fantastic." And so, when I got my hands on the program and really started kind of going through the numbers and all of that, registration for the program completely free to participate. Your flights to travel with the program covered by our educational foundation and our fantastic and amazing donors. The only kind of cost that would potentially come with participating in this program is obviously covering your meals going to and from, but that also can potentially be reimbursed. And also, if you're checking in a bag, you've got to cover that up front, but that also would be reimbursed as well. And so we're trying to keep things as low as possible so we can have as many people participate as can be. The one thing that I would say that would be a financial commitment is if you need to buy different materials for your expedition, right? Each expedition has a list of what you have to purchase or what you should be bringing with you. And that's your choice. If you have these items already, great, love that for you. Probably don't need to buy anything more. But like you said, if you have that different skill set, different skill level, for me as an example, I don't really go hiking that much, but I probably would need to buy a pair of hiking pants or hiking shoes to kind of navigate that experience. And so that is kind of like on you in terms of what materials you need to purchase. But from the fraternity end, we're doing our best to make sure that it is at minimal, like the lowest amount possible that a individual student would have to spend on this. So example, water bottles. Those seem like they're cheap. Everybody has one, but we're going to provide a water bottle to everybody whenever they attend. Something simple like that goes a long way, especially if you don't think about bringing something like that along with you.
Yeah, and it's great to hear that Outward Bound is, also providing things like sleeping bags and tents and all those really high, I'd say high value, high priced items that
Yeah.
would maybe be a barrier naturally.
Right. And so that's also the cool thing. Like you said, they're providing sleeping bags, they're providing the backpacks, they'll provide like a sleeping pad for you so you're not actually sleeping on a rock. So it really is cool of what is provided and what is already like there. And so like I said, if we get feedback from the students like, "Oh, we need something, we wish we had insert item here," that may be a conversation we can have a little bit further on of like, okay, well, what can we do to make this easier in the long run? And I think that's what really has made this super exciting, right? Like to hear that our alumni, to hear that we have a strong giving circle for Outward Bound is pretty fantastic, because this is a really big undertaking from the national organization to have this type of program. And I think it's super exciting for all of us to be a part of, even if it's just coordinating the program or for someone attending the program and or being a volunteer for the program.
You teased it a little bit with the Stuck Giving Circle, and we'll talk about that after our interview. But last question I really have for you. For those who are watching or may watch later, why should they consider supporting programs like this? What impact does it truly have on the student?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think these types of programs really it's that intersection, right? That's the intersection of being able to do stuff while also developing yourself as a overall person. It's not just I'm learning how to manage an organization, I'm learning how to deal with finances. It is those intangible skill sets that we want you to be able to gain and like learn and be able to enjoy. I look back from my experience as an undergrad, and the ones that really resonated with me the most, it wasn't sitting in the classroom learning about what the definition of leadership was. It was going out there and being able to have that hands-on experience, that experiential like education, that experiential opportunity to be able to say, "Hey, this is how I lead a team. This is how I have conversations with these guys." And so I think my biggest takeaway for everybody would be to do their best to support these kinds of programs, because we are setting ourselves up. We're setting up these young men for their future, whether it be from leadership, developing their leadership abilities, their foundational leadership abilities, to Outward Bound, like building upon that, or the Give to Grow program that we're planning and developing with Mo. It's all these different opportunities and all these experiential things that they can be able to like navigate moving forward. I think this is a really exciting time for us, and I'm really looking forward to what we can do and how we impact these young men.
You summed it up perfectly, and I cannot wait to be able to hear from these young men once they return. We have a really fantastic opportunity set up for them, where anybody who actually makes a gift to make this type of, or that makes Outward Bound possible, they're going to be able to come in and hear during a town hall from these young men themselves, and exactly hear about what they did experience and how it has shaped their lives after the conclusion of all of those events, which is so exciting. But Salim, thank you so much for being here and for talking to us a little bit about Compass and the way that the fraternity is moving. And I can't wait to share a little bit more about those stories later.
Yeah, appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, you heard from Salim firsthand just how transformative that some of these experiences are going to be. And while it's all good and dandy, it's also great to hear from those who have been on programs like this before and will be going on them. And so later today, we'll have Mike Slaughter come on and talk about how his time going to the Outward Bound sponsored program, the Expedition Academy, in the past has really influenced his life and where he is today. But we're also going to be hearing from Carson Jacob, who has been selected to go on one of the upcoming Outward Bound schools in North Carolina, and just how excited he is to be able to have that hands-on, transformative, experiential education. But before we go, I do want to plug this piece. We've brought it up, Salim teased it a little bit, but this year we revealed our first giving circle in the Foundation's history. It's called the Hudson Stuck Giving Circle. Now, Hudson Stuck was one of our most distinguished alumni. He comes from the Sewanee chapter, but he was actually the first person to co-lead the expedition and to ascend and reach the top of Mount Denali or Mount McKinley up in Alaska. And his legacy of not only being that mountaineer, but also advocating for Native Alaskan rights, being an Episcopal priest, and also a good Delt, transcends all of that. But all you have to do to be able to join that giving circle is make a gift to the Innovation and Adaptability Fund. That Innovation and Adaptability Fund is what makes it possible for us to put on these programs such as Outward Bound, and will be having the direct impact of providing that for these young men. And I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already joined it. I cannot wait for you to be able to see the impact that your gifts have had on these young men. But today, and just today, we are running a fantastic premium opportunity. Anyone who makes a donation to the Innovation and Adaptability Fund will actually receive a copy of A Window to Heaven, which is going to be signed by the author. It is an account of Hudson Stuck's life, but also his time ascending Mount Denali. And so, if you are interested in reading that book, but also supporting this fantastic program, please be sure to go over to deltsgive.org. And when you're on the donation page and you hit the drop-down menu, be sure to select Innovation and Adaptability Fund to make sure that Outward Bound is not just provided for this year at either free or no cost to our students, but also so that it's supported and continue to be provided in the years to come. But like I said, be sure to tune back in later to hear from Mike and Carson as they talk a little bit about how these programs have impacted their lives and they expect them to impact their lives.